More than 30,000 years ago, in a tropical forest in Borneo, a surgeon performed an important operation. Their patient was a child with an injured left leg. Using a sharp tool made from stone, they performed a complex surgery by cutting cleanly through the bone between the child's knee and ankle. They expertly navigate muscles, veins, and nerves to avoid death from blood loss or shock. The result of this surgery was an outstanding success. This is considered the oldest known surgery, taking place tens of thousands of years ago. Many scientists believe this proves we began performing advanced medical procedures a long time ago. This raises an important question about the advancement of medicine. When did the practice of medicine, with all its diversity, become a part of people's daily lives? Although it is not easy to answer this question, it can be speculated that the human tendency for natural healing has existed for a long time, possibly longer than our presence on Earth. Before the discovery of traces of amputation in Borneo, ancient examples of surgery took us back about 7,000 years ago during the Neolithic period. A case in point is that of an ancient farmer living in what is now France, who had his left arm and the top part of his skull amputated with clearly drilled holes in a process called is borehole drilling, also recorded during this period. For a long time, the prevailing view among Western researchers was that the transition to agricultural societies during this period produced the first major innovations in the field of medicine. As Neolithic societies became larger and more complex in their social structures, they developed knowledge, skills, and sophisticated medical tools that were previously unavailable. However, in 2020, when scientists explored a cave in Borneo and discovered the buried skeleton of a mutilated individual, they carefully analyzed it and argued that this could be truth because the evidence from this burial points to a deliberate act, a precise surgical procedure, and not the result of an accident. For example, the bones in this individual's lower leg have a clear cut, too precise to have occurred from an accidental blow, a blow, or an attack from an animal. Both situations can lead to more serious fractures. There were no signs of infection on the bones, perhaps due to the use of medicinal plants native to this land. This is especially important in the tropics, where wound infections are common and difficult to treat, even today. In fact, based on analyses of bone healing, this individual appears to have survived 6 to 9 years after surgery, extending to about 20 years. The truth is, ancient humans' ability to carry out such complex processes is nothing surprising. For us, learning more about our predecessors highlights their ingenuity, talent, and creativity have long been an inseparable part of us. However, the important thing is, how has our medicine changed? Finally, from an evolutionary perspective, medicine is also a trait, a complex and distinctive social behavior. So if it has existed since the Neolithic period, even longer than the Borneo tomb, where can we find traces of it? In fact, self-medication is a common behavior, appearing in many different forms, in many different animal groups in the family tree. Many species have been observed using specific medicinal plants to treat or fight parasites, for example bears, birds, elephants, and even primates. Self-medication appears to be an ancient practice in the animal kingdom. However, the social aspect of medicine, not only the effort to heal oneself, but also to actively heal others, is much harder to define outside of Homo sapiens. Even for the other extinct human relatives we know about, this is not easy to determine based on fossil evidence alone. However, we have evidence that other human relatives cared for the injured and sick, helping them live in conditions that made it impossible for them to survive on their own. For example, the Neanderthal man from a rock named Shanidar I, who lived about 40,000 years ago, lived in many difficult circumstances. This suggests that he may have been of interest to his community. This is one of the cases mentioned in the episode What Neanderthals Teach Us About Humans. We also found an older human dating to about 1.7 million years ago that survived for many years despite losing most of its teeth, again showing the level of concern from our social group, grandfather. And even further back, more than 2 million years ago, we find Australopithecus, a member of the early hominin species living with bone injuries and diseases. It seems they have difficulty finding food and water, staying safe from predators, and moving from place to place. Some researchers suggest that they also benefit from some level of social care. However, these examples are only potential cases of hominins helping each other under disease conditions, unlike treatment or drug use. Evidence of this is not easily available. We have not found any convincing examples of hominins performing surgery, while it is certainly possible that they used drugs and mushrooms from their surroundings to self-medicate. We have no direct evidence that they injected drugs into others. For example, we found traces of plants preserved in the teeth of Neanderthals with dental abscesses. It appears he was eating material from the poplar tree, which has natural pain-relieving properties. If we find similar signs of medicinal plants in the calculus of an infant or an immobile adult perhaps unable to feed themselves, it may suggest that they were treated by someone else. However, we have not found specific evidence for this. Fossil data have the potential to provide rich and diverse information, while complex social behaviors are often difficult to predict from this data. So in human evolution, has mutual healing been as permanent as we humans, Homo sapiens, have? Until recently, the answer seemed to be yes, but then I wouldn't be here. We just don't have convincing evidence for that. But in 2019, that suddenly changed. Researchers in the Gabon rainforest conducted a long-term research project to observe a local chimpanzee community, and they discovered something strange. For about 15 months, they recorded unprecedented behavior in chimpanzees, especially their ability to heal themselves. When I say this is strange, I want you to understand this clearly before sharing the information, because when I first learned about this, I was extremely surprised. The chimpanzee caught the small flying insect from the air, held it firmly between his lips and rubbed it on the wound before releasing it. Researchers recorded this behavior occurring 19 times with similar insect species, although they were unable to pinpoint which species. This is a remarkable observation, because it is the first time a non-human animal has been documented to be able to self-treat by applying insects to a wound. What's more interesting is that in some cases, they observed individuals applying insects to the wounds of others, including a case of a mother applying insects to her child's wound and a case of her child's sperm. Adults apply insects to their children's wounds. Another unrelated individual. These observations, published in 2022, may be the first examples of non-human animals helping to treat each other's injuries. This opens up new hope for all of us. The therapeutic effectiveness of insects remains an open question. It's possible they have soothing, anti-inflammatory, or antibacterial properties, but until we identify the exact species, we won't know. However, the use of invertebrates as medicine has been documented in many human societies over the years, from leeches, slugs, snails, termites, and many others. It seems that finding solid evidence for treating wounds in other people is still controversial, but it seems that this may open the door for us to better understand the development of medicine. If chimpanzees could heal each other, would this have existed in our common ancestors some 6 to 7 million years ago? Whatever the answer, traits previously considered exclusively human may be more common than we think, and this may be an important part of the story of our evolutionary success, allowing us to thrive in potentially fatal situations, something we still face every day. Looking at the progress of medicine, we see that new discoveries are not just about developing new drugs or advanced medical intervention techniques. They also help better understand the relationship between humans and nature and how we can learn from each other and from other creatures. From chimpanzees treating each other's wounds, we can see that care and support are not a human monopoly. This opens up a new perspective on the diversity and wonder of the natural world and raises questions about our role in this vast ecosystem. We can learn a lot from the world around us, from small creatures like insects to large creatures like plants and wildlife. A better understanding of how they interact and support each other not only helps U.S. advanced medicine, but also helps us strengthen our relationships with nature and each other. And in this never-ending journey, perhaps the most important thing is humility and the spirit of learning. We cannot know everything, but we can always open our hearts and minds to receive and learn from all sources of information available around us. Only then can we truly better understand the nature of life and ourselves. If you like this video, don't forget to follow our evolution content. Please subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Goodbye and see you again.